The War in Heaven 1. The Nightmare Begins. The War of Heaven saw the end of many pantheons, the ascendance of many to godhood, and the constant battle that rages on to this day between the Copt and the scions of Apep, eternally locked in the Duat. It also directly resulted in the birth of at least two gods. Zeus was one of the generals of the gods, though he often did not like to participate too directly. In one session, he had a splitting migraine, and he called over to Thor Odinson to hit him in the head with Mjolnir, Thor's hammer. After doing so, the cracked skull allowed Zeus's brain to expand without pain, and it was then that Athena came forth. Action causes thought. Thought directs action. Violence is the mother of all philosophy. At the same time, some of the blood from Zeus's brain, which splattered across their war room, landed on Haruk-Bator, birthing his aspect of Ares. They both joined the Olympian pantheon with their father, and they represented their births. Athena became the goddess of strategy, of war from the general room, whereas Ares became the god of bloodlust, of war from the battlefield. While Athena planned, Ares killed. Many years later, a god now known only as the Unknown God, who was stationed on the island of Mora on Cristo, believed the gods needed a new weapon for the war in heaven, a new cosmological force. By meditating for countless hours, raising innocents, setting up necropolis simply through mass murder, this god located the multiverse Desert, as such is the only way to properly find the mindset necessary to find Desert. This multiverse, like all other universes, can only be accessed through the principles of logic and axiomatic reasoning. Desert was a universe that was like an imperfect reflection of Cristo's future. It was a place of pure evil, nothing else, not even order or random, containing deity-level creatures known to us as Jerts. Focusing all his power on a diamond of a dying star, the unknown god collapsed Desert into it. This ripped through time and space, creating the cosmological force of evil, which before that moment had never existed anywhere in reality. It became as fundamental as random and order. It let in a few Jert into the Cristonic universe. It corrupted a few primordials, who became known as Ma'al. Then, from the depths of this shard came its own category of life, corresponding to the substance of evil, the Qlipoth. Footnote on Qlipoth. The singular of Qlipoth is Qlipa. End footnote. It immediately made many gods evil, such as Haruk-Bator. Those that were of order and became corrupted by the shard were known as the Phaean. One particular Phaean, born in the Abyss's order and raised to godhood by his power, was known as Asmodeus. He has the head of a goat, a bull, and a horned man, with bat wings and snakes, which imitate tentacles, for arms. He lives in the 345th layer of the Abyss, Naft. One god, who was known as Traco, god of love and lust, became corrupted and now resides on the 468th layer of the Abyss, Zehen. Another god who became a demon was Beelzebub, who lives on the 107th layer of the Abyss, the city of Dis. Then, in Dujak, the 9th layer, a powerful being arose, made by this new abyss, becoming a demon prince and then a god, Ahriman, the greatest enemy of the god Ormuzd. Ahriman became known as an Ashmedai, as he was not corrupted, but rather was born of the evil. Demonologists will call him a Phaean, and refer to Phaean that were corrupted as Burs, making Burs and Ashmedai subcategories of Phaean. The name Ashmedai is given as Asmodeus was the first among them. Pazuzu is another Ashmedai. He is the lord of the first layer of the abyss, Hanpu, which spawned him. A wind lord, Pazuzu's domain is the sky of the abyss, and he lords over the Lilu demons. He became a god, and he did battle with the mighty primordial Lamashtu, whose spawn, also called the Lamashtu, have a fondness for eating children and harassing the pregnant. But, by all of this action, evil was reflected from Cristo into the dream of Azathoth. One particularly evil possibility came to be known as Desert. Interestingly, a god ended this universe by collapsing it into a diamond. The unknown god became innately corrupted. He took the shard to a thin sliver of a line of the Arcanum and planted himself there in order to corrupt both randomness and order. The side of order was the continent Tartarus, bordering Jumala's realm, which would be called Hell, and the archipelago called Abyss. The unknown god's very presence, with his diamond of evil, morphed these places. The abyss became separate from heaven. It is as if it is a bottomless hole, with untold masses constantly running into it as some form of ritual suicide. Each island now acts as one of 666 layers, each of infinite length and girth. It became a free-for-all, of which demon prince and wicked god alike would make their home. Jumala's domain was slowly being corrupted, and one could see the change in the angels, but Jumala kept the decay at bay. Tartarus was physically removed from the sea, and it repositioned itself in strange geometric ways. At night, denizens of Persia can see this wicked plane in the sky. Thus was formed the Malefax. The unknown god did more than upset divine lands with his mere presence. He became obsessed with doing evil for evil. For him, wanton destruction and cruel oppression were not satisfying. He wanted to be evil for evil's sake. He wanted everyone else to be in pain, and he had developed the power to do so. Reality does not reward or punish good or evil no more than it rewards or punishes chaos and law, order and randomness. The closest any of these comes to actually existing is order, ever-change, and evil. But even then, selfishness at the expense of others could be seen as good. For instance, a slave taking the land from their former master. Yes, these all, even evil, are constructs, non-existing. The power of a holy sword does not come from good, but from powerful entities gifting the sword special abilities when it faces its so-called evil foes. Even amongst the gods, there are those that do not fully commit themselves to one, but use these persuasions as it benefits them or their agenda.